Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की, जगत गुरु श्लोकपाद की, हिताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल। एवं जन्मानि कर्माणि ह्यकर्तुरजनस्य च वर्णयन्ति स्म कवयो वेदगुह्यानि हृत्पतेः। एवं जन्मानि कर्माणि ह्यकर्तुरजनस्य च वर्णयन्ति स्म कवयो वेदगुह्यानि हृत्पतेः। एवं जन्मानि कर्माणि ह्यकर्तुरजनस्य च वर्णयन्ति स्म कवयो वेदगुह्यानि हृत्पतेः। यकर्तुरजनस्य च वर्णयन्ति वेदगुह्यानि जन्मानि कर्माणि यकर्तु
वेदगुह्यानि हृत्पतेः
वेदगुह्यानि हृत्पतेः
एवं जन्मानि कर्माणि
एवं जन्मानि कर्माणि
हि अकर्तुरजनस्य च
यकर्तुरजनस्य च
वर्णयन्ति अस्मय कवयो
वर्णयन्ति स्म कवयो
वेदगुह्यानि हृत्पते
वेदगुह्यानि हृत्पतेः एवं thus janmani birth karmani activities he certainly akartuhu of the inactive ajanasya cha and varnayanti describe sma in the past kavayah the learned veda guhyani undiscoverable by the Vedas ritpatehe of the Lord of the heart. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Chanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki translation. Thus, learned men describe the births and activities of the unborn and inactive, which is undiscoverable even in the Vedic literatures. He is the Lord of the heart. Purport. Both the Lord and the living entities are essentially spiritual. Therefore, both of them are eternal and neither of them has birth and death. The difference is that the so-called births and disappearances of the Lord are unlike those of the living beings. The living beings who take birth and then again accept death are bound by the laws of material nature. But the so-called appearance and disappearance of the Lord are not actions of material nature, but are demonstrations of the internal potency of the Lord. They are described by the great sages for the purpose of self-realization. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita by the Lord that his so-called birth in the material world and his activities are all transcendental. And simply by meditation on such activities, one can attain realization of Brahman and thus become liberated from material bondage. In the Shrutis, it is said that the birthless appears to take birth. The Supreme has nothing to do, but because he is omnipotent, everything is performed by him naturally, as if done automatically. As a matter of fact, the appearance and disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his different activities are all confidential, even to the Vedic literatures. Yet they are displayed by the Lord to bestow mercy upon the conditioned souls. We should always take advantage of the narrations of the activities of the Lord, which are meditations on Brahman in the most convenient and palatable form. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manomhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathavitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanutamscha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नीलाचल निवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्यां जगन्नाथाय ते नमः। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। So we welcome all the devotees for today's morning Bhagavatam class. This is a beautiful verse which states that the learned men describe the births and activities of the unborn and inactive, which is undiscoverable even in the Vedic literatures. He is the Lord of the heart. So, if you read the verse carefully, you will see that it is stated that learned men describe the births and activities of the unborn and inactive. So, if somebody is unborn, how can we describe his or her birth? If someone's inactive, what activities will one describe? And such person who does such things, they are called here as learned. They are a learned person who can describe the births of the unborn and activities of the inactive. Generally, in normal terms, if we find any such person, we'll call him a madman. What kind of fellow is this? But you will see this is how the world is. In this world, people who are on extremes, they will appear very similar. Even a mad person will talk something nonsense like this, illogical, like this. Okay, births of the unborn and activities of inactive. And here in Bhagavatam, we see that even the learned sages, even such persons who describe the births of unborn and activities of inactive are called as learned men. जैसे आप देखेंगे somebody is in fitness, you'll see him very calm, peaceful, composed, not much desires, peaceful, chilling out. But you'll see somebody in ignorance will also be the same. He's just lying down, not many activities. It appears as if there are not much desires. So externally, they both appear to be the same. Many times you might have seen while going out on the road, there is a mad person who is crying out some words loudly and dancing on the road. And even we devotees, we also cry out some words, some holy names on the streets and dance. So you'll see the people who are on extremes, they externally appear to be the same. And same thing Bhagavatam describes elsewhere also, that yascha mudha tamo loke yascha buddhe param gatah avubho sukhamedhete klishyantantarito janah. It states that what kind of people in this world can be happy? Yascha mudha tamo loke, the topmost of the fools, tamo loke, who is destined to go to hell and the darkest of regions of ignorance. And yascha buddhe param gatah, one who is a self-realized soul about to go to spiritual world, about to get liberated. तब भो सुखमय देते. These kind of people can only experience happiness in this world. One who is the topmost of the fools, and one who is topmost of self-realized souls. But what about others? Klishyantantarito janaha. One who is in antar, जो बीच में है, he will only get one thing, क्लेश. Klishyante, nothing else. So we see in our colleges also, there are some people who have prepared for the exams so nicely that 2-3 days before the exams they will be studying, and somebody goes and asks कि कितना पढ़ाई हुआ, तो बोलेगा हाँ बस ये 8 ही बार रिवीजन चल रहा है. So they are very chilling, they are chilled out. अपना पढ़ाई वढ़ाई करके then they will go on a tour of the whole corridor, and each and every room they will go and poke. अरे तुमने ये पढ़ा क्या? अरे ये तो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट था. अरे यही तो प्रोफेसर ने बोला था आने वाला है. So they themselves are very happy trying to just tease others. And on the other hand, those who absolutely don't know anything, those who are 100% confident that even Krishna cannot pass me, they are also very happy. They also roam around the corridor telling कि भाई कॉलेज में आना हमारा काम है, कॉलेज से निकालना कॉलेज का काम है, हमारा काम नहीं. So they are also very happy. They also go roam around. They don't also mind. They don't face any miseries. So yes, you observe that people who are on extremes, they externally appear to be quite similar. So here also something like that is being told, that describing births of the unborn and activities of the inactive. But today we'll see how who is unborn can actually take a birth, and how who is inactive actually performs activities. And hence we will also become the learned men by trying to understand this fact through the words of the learned men who have described it earlier. Thus, the learned men describe the births and activities of the unborn and inactive, which is undiscoverable even in the Vedic literatures. He is the Lord of the heart. Both the living entities and Lord are essentially all spiritual. Therefore, both of them are eternal, and neither of them has birth and death. So here Prabhupada is telling something very wonderful. He is telling what to speak of the Lord. Even living entity is eternal. So even he does not have birth and death. What to speak of Lord not having birth and death. But even ideally living entity does not have birth and death. But still, we very obviously experience and see in this world that living entity does have birth and death. So what is that birth and death? This birth and death, which is imposed on the living entity, is carried out under the jurisdiction and the instructions of material nature. We who take birth again and again, we are bound by the laws of material nature. But that is not the case with the Lord. Lord also takes many births, and he also has apparently many disappearances. But then all these births and disappearances are not carried out by the laws of material nature. They are under the Prabhupada is telling them they are not the actions of material nature, but are demonstrations of the internal potency of the Lord. So what are the differences which we observe? Somebody may say, how does that matter? Whether material nature की वजह से birth and death हो रहा है, या फिर spiritual nature, या फिर internal potency की वजह से birth and death हो रहा है. Birth and death तो हो रहा है दोनों का. What is the difference? What is something so great about the Lord? So something great about the Lord is because Lord's birth and death are carried out by the internal potency of the Lord. आप देखेंगे, Lord is the nature of both Lords and the soul's birth and death are quite different. The soul is forced to take birth. and the soul, living entity, not soul, living entity, is forced to die. You know? But that is not the case with the Lord. The Lord appears out of his own Sambhavami Atmamaya, out of one's own internal potency, out of one's own desire. Whenever he wants to come, he comes. Wherever he wants to come, he comes. However, through whomever, none of us have decided what kind of face cut do we want. None of us have decided who will be our parents. None of us decided our place of birth, time of birth, nothing. So, because our birth and death is carried out by material nature, that's why our birth and death has a great amount of restrictions, very less freedom. We are bound up by the laws. But that is not the case with the Lord. He is Swarat. He is absolutely independent. He does whenever, whatever, however he wants to do. So this is the first difference between our birth and death and the Lord's birth and death. And we'll see a few more. They are described by the great sages for the purpose of self-realization. So this is something very important for us to understand. That if we describe the birth and deaths of the Lord, births and the disappearances of the Lord, then it is very helpful for our self-realization. In the Bhagavad Gita, similar shloka similar thing is being told by the Lord, that janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. So Krishna's birth and death, birth and appearance and disappearance, and his activities, his janma and karma, his birth and his activities are so special that if you get to know about his birth and activities, your birth and activities will stop in this world. But that is not the case with us. मतलब हमारे birth और activities के बारे में सुन के ज़्यादा कुछ होता नहीं है. In fact, the attachment increases. हमारे relatives, हमारे parents, हमारे friends, when they hear about our birth and our activities, the only thing which happens is that their attachment to us increases, and their cycle of birth and death increases, and our cycle of birth and death also increases. But if you hear about the birth and activities of the Lord, then Lord is anyways ever liberated, but we ourselves will become liberated if we hear about and understand the birth and the activities of the Lord. So they are all transcendental, you know? Janma and karma. So although in the verse it is only being mentioned about, okay, both are mentioned, birth and the activities. Okay, fine. Yeah, so birth and the activities of the Lord are very, very special. They're all transcendental. Simply by meditation on such activities, one can attain realization of Brahman and thus become liberated from material bondage. So we see that in this world, if living entities have this nature to hear about somebody always, you know, they cannot stay without hearing about the births and activities of somebody. तो कुछ ना कुछ एक्टिविटीज के बारे में तो हमको सुनना पड़ेगा. So that's why Lord mercifully appears in this world, and appears means takes birth in this world, and also performs very superhuman, marvelous activities, so that we get that content, we get some subject matter to discuss about his birth and about all his activities. So we'll see that all the different avatars of the Lord, or Lord himself appearing, in all different cases, Lord appears in a very special manner. His activity, his birth is very, very special. When Lord Krishna personally came, so he was already a very beautifully dressed boy with long hairs and everything, not crying but smiling, and then telling about the births and the activities of his own mother and father. Not of one lifetime, but 3 lifetimes. Lord appeared at Narsimdev. So from pillar he appeared. Very astonishing to know. Lord appeared as Varahadev. So appeared from the uh, nostrils of Brahma. Very astonishing. Lord appeared as uh, many such cases we see. And activities are also very astonishing. So Vaman Dev came as a dwarf Brahmana, asked only for 3 steps, but then he expanded his form like anything. And to the extent that just in 2 steps he covered all the locusts, all the planets, upper and lower. So then Narsimdev came in a very beautiful form, half line, tore apart Hiranyakashipu. How will the Lord now? The Lord could have kept it very boring. No? He just appeared and killed it without falling on any of the conditions which Hiranyakashipu made. But he kept it so interesting. Even after fulfilling, he fulfilled all those conditions and still killed Hiranyakashipu. So, like this, there are many innumerable pastimes which Lord manifests in this world only for the sake of us, only for the sake of the conditioned souls. Because we, conditioned souls, we were there in spiritual world before, habituated to hear, see, experience Lord's pastimes. But now we have come over here. So here also that same tendency to hear, experience and see the activities of different personalities of this world is there. But then if those tendencies are uh, utilized to hear or understand the activities of the people of this world, will always remain bound up, will always remain in the cycle of birth and death. So just to take us out of this material world, God appears and does the supermost astonishing and adventurous activities. इससे ज्यादा अट्रैक्टिव तो कुछ नहीं दिखेगा आपको दुनिया में, है ना? So yeah, so that's why the Lord appears in this world. And one more difference you'll observe in the activities of the Lord and in our activities is our Lord's activities, they will appear quite normal, quite common at times. At times will appear quite common. For example, he is crying when he's not getting the butter in Vrindavan. Very normal, appears very normal, like a child. Normal child also will do something like that. But then there is a great difference. Whatever activities the Lord does, that is Leela, fasting. But whatever activities we do, that is not fasting. Again, that same point. We do because we are bound up. For example, eating. Why do we eat? No doubt we eat for getting some taste. But then more important than that is that if we don't eat, we'll die. We eat for our sustenance. But the Lord does not eat for his sustenance. Lord eats only for enjoying. If we eat, we have to go for a clearing out. If we don't go, then that's a great diseased condition. But that's not the same with the Lord. He might eat for years together, and he might not go for a clearing out. And if he wants, he can go for a clearing out also. One cannot question that how can Lord get a clearing call. One cannot question that. We hear how in Vrindavan when Krishna sometimes would not find butter and curd etc. at the home of the gopis, then sometimes he would tease the children of the gopis, put water in the ears of the small children who are there in the cradle, or pinch them, something like that. And अगर बच्चे भी कभी कभी नहीं मिलते थे घर पे, But then Lord will pass stool and urine on the floor and then go. Hmm? But then that stool and urine was very special. It was fragrant, beautifully fragrant. So like this, Lord's activities are uh, quite different than ours. The fundamental difference is that he does it out of his own internal potency, his own desire, and we do it because we are bound up. We do it under the stringent laws of material nature, under the strict strings of three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. While Lord's activities are transcendental, is one thing. Secondly, if we hear about Lord's activities, we'll become liberated. But if we hear about activities of other people of this world, we'll remain bound up, will not become liberated. And thirdly, you'll see, or else one more difference which you can observe. You see, uh, Lord, when he does his pastimes with the gopis, the intimate conjugal loving pastimes, if someone hears about those pastimes uh, by getting the proper adhikar, by properly first getting to know about uh, the greatness of the Lord, etc., as Prabhupada multiple times mentions, then hearing about such pastimes, which are apparently very lusty, apparently very erotic, esoteric, uh, one will become free from lust if one hears about those pastimes. Yeah. Although those pastimes are apparently quite lusty in nature, if one misunderstands those. So, two things are there actually. Uh, One's own personal adhikar to hear, and one has to hear from a bona fide source, not from some charlatans. So, if we hear from bona fide sources and with proper adhikar, then hearing about such pastimes, which appear to be very lusty, one becomes free from lust. One can easily remain a whole life as a brahmachari, sense controlled, sannyasi, and perfect his life. While similar activities of the boys and girls of this world, if we hear, then one will become more and more degraded, more and more dirty in his consciousness. So this is also one of the differences between our activities and the Lord's activities. Lord's activities are lila, they are pastime, they are purifying in nature, while our activities are putrefying in nature. So, yeah, these are also one of the differences. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that by the Lord, that is so called birth in the material world, and his activities are all transcendental. And simply by meditation on such activities, one can attain realization of Brahman and thus become liberated from material bondage. In the Shrutis, it is said that the birthless appears to take birth. What is the verse? I also don't know. I thought there might be some verse. The Supreme has nothing to do, but because he is omnipotent, everything is performed by him naturally. So we know this verse. Na tasya karyam karanam cha vidyate, and swabhaviki jnana bala kriya cha. Verse is there. As if done automatically. And now something very interesting is going to come. So, similar apparent contradictory statements are found in the Shrutis. In the same shloka, it is told that natasya karam cha vidyate, but then swabhaviki jnana kriya balacha. So he has nothing to do, but he performs everything. How? Through his energies, through his different energies, jnana shakti, kriya shakti, and etc. So by his energies, he performs all these activities. And yeah, so when we say Supreme Lord has nothing to do, it again brings us to the same point only. When we say he has nothing to do, means he is not bound up to do anything. He does many things, but just for the sake of pastime, not because he is forced. And this is very important, as if done automatically, you know. And now you'll see. As a matter of fact, the appearance and disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his different activities are all confidential, even to the Vedic literatures. So, in the Vedic literatures, in the Shrutis, the whole Shrutis are filled with verses like this only. Yeah, he performs activities but does not perform activities. You know, he uh, he is birthless. वो he is formless, निराकार है. He he does not have any qualities. निर्गुण है, निराकार है. Then कोई क्रिया नहीं करते हैं. So all such very complicated, encrypted manner में things are given in the Shrutis. But we have to understand, and that is why the Lord is confidential in the Shrutis. It's extremely very difficult to come up to a it is extremely very difficult to come up to a personal realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. अगर कोई केवल ग्रामेटिकली और अगर एक लेमैन उसको पढ़ेगा तो बहुत आसान है उसके लिए समझना दैट सुप्रीम लॉर्ड हैज नो फॉर्म. मतलब बहुत आसानी से एक इम्पर्सनल कंक्लूजन पे ही आएगा. एक पर्सनल कंक्लूजन में आना बहुत डिफिकल्ट है जस्ट बाय रीडिंग द श्रुतिस. दैट्स व्हाई devotees are very important in our life. The pure devotees who can very logically and philosophically, shastrically prove that no, the personal form of the Lord is the supreme most, is topmost. Impersonal aspect is there, but that is inferior to the personal one. That is dependent on the personal one. So that's why we have to be very grateful to all the acharyas and Prabhupada and all different acharyas of Vaishnava acharyas who have very time and again powerfully refuted the Mayavad philosophy and the impersonalist philosophy and established the glory and importance and that ultimate truth of the personal philosophy of the absolute truth, the personal realization of the absolute truth. So, and not only through philosophy, but even this world is made in such a way that it's very difficult to realize the Lord by seeing this world around. For example, this world, the whole material world, has come from the Supreme Lord Himself. And in Ishopanishad we see Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamavashishyate. Even if you take out infinite from that infinite, he still remains the complete balance. He still remains infinite. There is so it means what? That whatever has come out of the Supreme Lord, that also is complete in one sense. That also is complete in one sense. And that's what Prabhupada also mentions in that purport, that this world, this material world which we see around, because it has come out from the Supreme Lord, this material world is also complete. But we still experience many sorts of incompleteness, but that is only because of the incomplete knowledge of the complete whole. That's what Prabhupada writes in the purport. And this can be very well realized. अगर हम practical language थोड़ा सा देखें, so we can see that scientists and scientists told, oh, इतनी गर्मी पड़ रही है. See this world is so imperfect. It's so incomplete. भगवान ऐसी दुनिया क्यों बनाई जहाँ इतनी ज़्यादा गर्मी है? So we'll create a refrigerator. We'll create ACs. Okay, बना दिया. And then what? Those ACs and refrigerators, although gave some kind of coolingness for some time, but then they release CFCs, which deplete the ozone layer, which in turn leads to a greater amount of UV rays entering this planet and eventually increasing the temperature, overall global temperature of the planet. You know? Science says that, oh, see, your river water is so dirty. We have created distillery and we are giving you pure water. But the point is, how did the water become dirty in the first place? That was because of our industries and factories only. So we say, oh, the Lord has created so imperfect world. He has created such eyes which cannot see in the night. रात को दिखता नहीं है. ऐसी आंखें बनानी चाहिए थी, क्या रात को भी दिखेगा? तो ठीक है, हम बल्ब बनाएंगे. We'll create a light. तो बल्ब बनाया. And then what happens? So the Lord has made things very natural. Now it's time for the living entity to sleep. So the Lord removes the powerful light from the sky and gives a very dim light, cooling, soothing light, moonlight, and you sleep. That's it. But then we'll say no. We'll work during the night. So we want light for that. So we'll create light and then work during night. And because of late night, exposure to lights in the form of screens or tube lights or whatever, the blue light which comes enters into our eyes, which leads to actually what happens is all these lights, they have blue light in them. Sunlight also has blue light in that. And when those lights enter our eyes, our brain understands that there is day going on. There is day going on. And when night also, Lord has removed the sunlight, but if we keep artificial lights here and there, then those blue lights will enter our eyes again. And our brain will get a signal that it's a daytime going on. And because the brain gets a signal that it's a daytime going on, the body will not release a chemical known as melatonin, which is very essential to get sleep. It's a sleep-inducing hormone, melatonin. So melatonin is not released, and one does not get sleep. So you see, it's an infinite cycle kind of thing. You keep on letting in more blue light, you don't get sleep. And then people have to take too many artificial means of sleeping and hamper their health and many such things. So you see, although it appeared that it's an imperfection that we cannot see in the night, but it was actually not an imperfection. It was deliberately put by the Lord the way it is. But we think, it's an imperfection, we need to correct it. And in the course of correcting it, we suffer. We complicate things further for ourselves only. So yes, anyways, we went to a different direction. That point is that the world is complete. That is what Prabhupada mentions in that purport. And all sorts of incompleteness are experienced because of incomplete knowledge of the complete whole. But there is one more aspect to it also, coming back to our purport, that the Lord is confidential even to the Vedic literatures. The world, because it comes from the Lord, this world in itself is perfect. It is so perfect that it appears as if it is working automatically. It is it is so highly systematized and automatized by the Lord that it is impossible for anyone to do analysis of the matter and come up to a conclusion that, oh yes, the Lord exists. The Lord is existing. It's not that you zoom into an atom and you find a nucleus over there. You zoom into that, you find protons and neutrons over there. You zoom into that, you find some quarks over there. You zoom into that, you find strings over that. And you further zoom into that, and you find a four-handed Vishnu waving a hand. That will never happen. Because the Lord has created the world like that. So, this world is so complete that it can work without a direct intervention of the Lord. Lord need not directly intervene in the working of this world. And that is why the Lord is very, very confidential. We cannot understand how Lord is there who is working in this world. We can't understand it. So yes, Lord is confidential. If somebody wants to just look through his eyes and do some experiments with matter and try to find out the Lord, one will not be able to find out. And then this verse goes to the extent of saying that what to speak of your normal material experiments which are dependent on your imperfect senses, etc., etc. बट इवन अगर कोई शास्त्रों से समझने का ट्राई करेगा भगवान को, इवन कोई वेदों से श्रुति से समझने का ट्राई करेगा भगवान को, तो वो भी नहीं समझ पाएगा. भगवान ने अपने आप को इतना ज्यादा कॉन्फिडेंशियल बना के रखा हुआ है. वो शास्त्रों से श्रुति से थोड़ा सा समझ पाएगा, ब्राह्मण थोड़ा बहुत समझ जाएगा, हल्का फुल्का परमात्मा तो समझ जाएगा, पर उसके आगे नहीं. उसके आगे नहीं. अगर भगवान रियलाइजेशन चाहिए तो वो केवल एक भक्ति दे सकता है. वो इवन श्रुतिस को पढ़ के भी समझ में नहीं आए. श्रुतिस पढ़ के वन कैन इजीली कंक्लूड के लॉर्ड इज इम्पर्सनल ओनली. उसके आगे के रियलाइजेशंस समझ में नहीं आएंगे उसको. सो लॉर्ड हैज मेड हिमसेल्फ ग्रेटली कॉन्फिडेंशियल, बट दिस great confidential and rare commodity has been awarded to all of us. Not only the form of the Lord, or not only knowing that the Lord is personal, but also serving the Lord, and not only serving Him as a servant. Oh, Lord is great, I am so fallen, I am so inferior. Not only that, but also in different rasas, even up to the topmost rasa of Madhuri ras and Vatsalya ras, Sakhya ras, all these rasas where the devotee becomes even superior than the Lord. So all such esoteric and great confidential truths have been revealed to us, have been made available to us by our acharyas, and especially Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We say अत्यंत दुर्लभ प्रेम करी बार दान सिखाए शरणागति भक्त तेरा प्राण. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has done that. And then the further successors of Mahaprabhu, following in his footsteps, have revealed such great confidential details. Not only spiritual world, but not the Vakunthas, but Golok Vrindavan. That has been revealed to us. by our acharyas. So, if somebody tries to understand the Lord through the Shrutis, it's very difficult because the Lord has made himself, kept himself very, very confidential. He has given the right to get revealed only through his devotees, his pure devotees. By no other means. He himself will never reveal, but yes, and not even his scriptures will reveal, but the devotees will reveal. Yet they are displayed by the Lord to bestow mercy upon the conditioned souls. Yeah, so as we discussed, the Lord appears in this world to perform different wonderful adbhut karmana, beautiful activities, so that we get attracted by that. We start talking, hearing, speaking about such activities, and we become liberated. For our sake, he comes and performs such activities. He comes to show us a trailer of the spiritual world to attract us to enjoy the full movie. So, what we should do? We should always take advantage of the narrations, the activities of the Lord, which are meditations on Brahman in the most convenient and palatable form. So, yes, as we see, so it is, the knowing about the Lord through his personal activities and pastimes and all is very, very convenient and palatable. Even a child can understand such beautiful pastimes of the Lord. But recently, uh, there was one event where one impersonalist was called for giving a session to some college students on Vedanta or something like that, Tattva and all. So I just happened to see a 10-15 minutes clip of that huge auditorium where all the college students were sitting and this personality was speaking. I could see practically everyone, well, nobody was there who was trying to understand what he's speaking. Because the language he was using was really, really weird. I mean, how much do we take care of uh, making the subject matter very palatable and relatable to the new audience, isn't it? इतनी आसान लैंग्वेज में एंड उनके रेलेवेंट एग्जांपल्स एनालॉजीज ये सब बता के वी टेल एंड दैट पर्सन वाज स्पीकिंग एंड I don't remember even the exact words which he was speaking, but very weird words he was using. Nirguna Brahma, and then some very very highly complicated words. तो मुझे ये शौक हुआ कि जो स्पीकर है उसको समझ में तो आ रहा होगा ना कि सामने वालों को समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. Then why is he not trying to make it more down, more uh, more lucid, more easy to understand? Why is he not trying to make it that way? चलो ठीक है, आपको अगर अल्टीमेटली अपने इम्पर्सनल कंक्लूजन पे लाना है, दैट्स अ डिफरेंट थिंग, बट स्पीक समथिंग व्हिच somebody can understand. So that is not there. So this skill to preach, this also has been bestowed upon us by our previous acharyas. How to make the subject matter very very relevant for the audience and then speak. So yes, so speaking about the Brahman in his personal form is very very convenient and palatable. Elsewhere in Bhagavatam we see it is mentioned Atmaramascha munayo nirgranthapurukrame kurvanti hetukim bhaktim itham bhuta guno harihi. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives 61 meanings to this verse, and following in the footsteps of Mahaprabhu, Prabhupada also mentions like 8 to 10 meanings of that verse. And in detail, Prabhupada mentions all 61 PNCs, but in detail he mentions a few. You know? So the common meaning of this verse is Atmaramas Chamunay, those who are self-realized. Atmaram people, Nirgrantha api urukrame. Those who are Nirgrantha, their bondage, their granthi with this world has become broken, untied. The knot is untied, the knot is cut. Nirgrantha. So even जो self-realized है, is material world से already liberated है, even such person, api urukrame, when they hear about the Lord Urukrama, when they hear about the wonderful activities of the Lord, Kurvanti Ahetukim Bhaktim, they also get engaged in the Ahetuki Bhakti of the Lord. Itham Bhuta Guna Harihi. That, that is how wonderful my Lord is. That hearing about Him, even those who are self-realized, even those who are already liberated, they also get engaged in His Bhakti. That is a very common meaning. But then, because it was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who was explaining this verse, so he mentions really, he basically comes to a conclusion that not only the self-realized souls, but any Tom, Dick and Harry hears about the pastimes of the Lord, he'll be attracted. Anybody hearing about the pastimes of the Lord will be charmed, will be enchanted, would want to perform his bhakti. That is what is the quality of the supremely beautiful activities and topmost pastimes of the Lord, that everyone will be attracted. For example, one of the meaning which Prabhupada mentions is, they say Atma Rama. Atma Ram means one who takes pleasure in the soul, one who takes pleasure in being self-realized. But one of the meaning of Atma is body also. So Atma Ram also means one who takes pleasure in bodily activities, one who takes pleasure in sense gratification. Nirgrantha. So one of the meaning of Nirgrantha which Prabhupada mentions is Grantha means the scriptures, and Nirgrantha means one who has no relation with the scriptures, one who has cut off all the relations with the scriptures. And Kurvanti hai tukim bhakti mittam bhuta guna. That even such person who is engaged in sense gratification, but and who has no relation with the scriptures, even if such person hears the pastimes of the Lord, he also becomes attracted and enchanted, and he also would want to engage in the devotional service of the Lord. Can you imagine such beautiful pastimes of the Lord? So yeah, that's why it is told over here that such type of meditations on Brahman, these are most convenient and palatable. These are most convenient and palatable. One need not have any prerequisite. One can start hearing from day one and get benefited, get purified. So, yes, these are the wonderful activities and births of the Lord. So, just to summarize in short, today we saw that how births and the activities of the Lord are quite different than that of ours. One is carried out by material energy, another is carried out by the will of the Lord by internal potency. One has, one has the capacity to, one leads to more and more degradation and putrefaction, while one leads to elevation, purification, and going back to Godhead. One is under great subjugation of great control and lack of freedom, but another is done out of absolutely, just as a leela, as a pastime, just because he wants to. No control, infinite amount of independence, and then we saw that okay, these activities, इसके results तो बहुत अच्छे दिख रहे हैं, but then these activities are not very easily mentioned or available in the scriptures. Even if they are available, it's very difficult to understand those in truth. So we get to understand those in truth by hearing from the devotees, by getting to know it from the devotees, pure devotees. Otherwise, even impersonalists discuss about the pastimes of the Lord, but then they have philosophies like, oh, that these pastimes are only a way. Ultimately, we have to merge into the Brahman, etc., etc. So even such pastimes also have to be heard from. We get to know the real truth, the confidential truths of such pastimes only through devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Gaur Premanande. Yes, Ankit.
So see, in the purport it is written that somebody is simply meditating on the activities of the Lord, he can attain the realizations of Brahman and become liberated from material bondage.
एक मिनट.
This Bhagavad Gita written below that line.
ये वाला.
Yes.
And simply by meditation activities one can attain realization of Brahman. Oh, so the doubt is that ये Brahman realization की बात किया जा रहा है, यही ना? Yeah, so that's what Brahman means. Absolute truth की बात की जा रही है. So absolute truth has three aspects. Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. उस sense we have to understand. है ना? जैसे Krishna can also be known as Parabrahman. This Brahman is the capital B. So this is Parabrahman. It does not refer to the impersonal Brahmajyoti. That Brahman realization is not there. And even if you consider it that way, there is no harm in that. Even if somebody considers it that way, कि one will realize oneself and become liberated. तो इसमें भी क्या गलत? But that is a very maybe secondary, tertiary, quaternary product of meditation on such activities. The primary product on meditation on such activities is that one will be able to realize that object of such activities, that Krishna himself, capital B Brahman, Parabrahman, and be liberated. That's it. Okay.
That explanation you given. So this is interpretation, one of the interpretation of
Done by
61,
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
61 explanations.
This is there in TLC. You can read. Sagar bhai.
Prabhuji, as you mentioned that Lord is very confidential. So, okay, I understand that to understand his pastimes, that is very difficult. But to understand about his existence, is that also very confidential?
What I was trying to make the point that through just his means what? The personal existence of the Lord?
No, just the existence.
Existence, but then to understand that Lord is a person, that you are telling? ये जानना मुश्किल है? या फिर-
No. That I agree that is also difficult. The personal existence, the
हाँ.
form, that is difficult. But the normal understanding of the Lord, that someone is existing.
Someone means a person.
Like from where this question arised, like when we preach, then we generally say that it is means to the atheist, because I find many atheists in my circle. So I generally tell them that it is very easy to believe in God, because if you can see this universe, this is so perfect. We give such examples, and we say that it is very easy to understand God. So I am saying that it is very easy to understand God. So that is my question. Is it really easy to understand the existence of the Lord?
या अगर आप उस सेंस में देखेंगे तो नाउ व्हाट साइंस सेज दैट जैसे हम लोग बोलते हैं कि अर्थ इज इन अ परफेक्ट ऑर्बिट, है ना। अर्थ अगर थोड़ा सा भी और पास होता सन के तो जल जाता, और थोड़ा सा भी दूर होता तो पूरा बर्फीला हो जाता, फिर लाइफ एग्जिस्ट नहीं कर पाता। तो देखो भगवान ने एकदम परफेक्ट ऑर्बिट में रखा है अर्थ को, ताकि वो ताकि लाइफ यहाँ आ सके। बट साइंटिस्ट का देखने का तरीका अलग होता है। वो लोग बोलते हैं कि नहीं, व्हेन क्रिएशन हैपेंड सो देयर वेर many earths nearer to the sun and far from the sun also, और हमारा वाला भी था, बट देन ये सब सर्वाइव नहीं कर पाए, ये सब भी सर्वाइव नहीं कर पाए, हमारा वाला बच गया। That's what it is. जैसा ही टोलना कि अगर वैसे देखने जाएंगे तो प्रैक्टिकली आप इस दुनिया का कोई ऐसा एग्जाम्पल, कोई ऐसा एनालॉजी या कुछ भी ऐसा नहीं दिखा सकते इस दुनिया में जिसको देख के कोई एकदम बोल दे कि हाँ भाई भगवान एग्जिस्ट। नहीं बोल सकते। मैं बताया ना, क्योंकि ये दुनिया आई है भगवान से, तो ये अपने आप में कंप्लीट है। इसमें भगवान के इंटरवेंशन की भी जरूरत नहीं है इस दुनिया को चलने के लिए। तो भगवान के इंटरवेंशन की जरूरत ही नहीं है, तो कैसे आप इस दुनिया का चाल चलन देख के आप भगवान का हाथ देख पाएंगे इसमें? वेरी डिफिकल्ट, अगर कोई एथिस्टिक पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से देखने जाएगा। बट वही है कि स्टिल वी ट्राई टू, मतलब एक इंट्यूटिव सेंस होता है कि समथिंग कमिंग आउट ऑफ नथिंग इज एब्सोल्युटली absurd. तो फॉर श्योर देयर हैज टू बी समवन, विदाउट दैट इज नॉट पॉसिबल। एक इंट्यूटिव सेंस होता है जिससे लोग समझते हैं। तो आप अपने सारे जो भी आर्ग्यूमेंट्स और लॉजिक्स हम लोग सीखते हैं डिवाइस में और यहाँ, वो सारे प्रेजेंट करिए। बट डिवाइस एग्जिस्ट करता है दुनिया में, डिवाइस एग्जिस्ट कर रहा है, और डिवाइस के पैरेलल एथिस्ट भी एग्जिस्ट करते हैं। इवन आफ्टर हैविंग डिवाइस वी हैव एथिस्ट आल्सो इन दिस वर्ल्ड। अब समझ रहे मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ? द पॉइंट इज देयर इज नो श्योर शॉट आर्गुमेंट which can prove or disprove the existence of God. It's ultimately one's and that's why actually nowadays devotees invest, or else that's why एक और बहुत अच्छा तरीका होता है प्रीचिंग करने का। यू प्रीच थ्रू द इफेक्ट्स, यू प्रीच थ्रू द रिजल्ट्स। कि भाई देखो, यू एक्सेप्ट माई मॉडल ऑफ लाइफ, मतलब I have accepted some particular model of life in my life, and the result of that is that I'm extremely happy, joyful, blissful. अगर आपको भी ऐसा बनना है, खुश होना है, तो आप भी इसको एक्सेप्ट करो, अदरवाइज चलते बनो। तो इस तरह से भी बहुत लोग एक्सेप्ट करने को तैयार हो जाते हैं, एंड दे कैन टेक अप टू स्पिरिचुअलिटी। ऐसा भी होता है। So you may try this also at times, but वही है, मतलब अल्टीमेटली तो क्योंकि लॉर्ड इज अबव लॉजिक ना, लॉर्ड इज अबव लॉजिक। सो व्हाट लॉजिक यू विल गिव बाय व्हिच यू विल अंडरस्टैंड द लॉर्ड? ऐसा नहीं होने वाला। तो दैट्स व्हाई हमारा प्रयास केवल यही रहना चाहिए कि सामने वाले का जो लॉजिक का लिमिट है, उस लिमिट को मैं क्रॉस कर दूंगा, इतना बस। बाकी इसका ये मतलब बिल्कुल नहीं है कि कल को उठ के वो एक और इससे पावरफुल काउंटर लॉजिक नहीं ला सकता, ऐसा नहीं है। वो लेके आ जाएगा। सो इवन सारे वो सब तरीके जिससे हम प्रूव करते हैं डिवाइस में या फिर बाकी अपने सेशंस में द एग्जिस्टेंस ऑफ गॉड, अगर आप फ्रैंकली देखने जाएंगे तो उन सबके काउंटर्स अवेलेबल हैं, सबके। बट देन फिर उसके भी काउंटर्स अवेलेबल है, और फिर उसके भी काउंटर्स अवेलेबल है। सो अल्टीमेटली यू हैव टू, इसलिए तो बोलते हैं ना कि क्यों ऐसा बोलते हैं कि वन हु कम्स टू डिवोशनल सर्विस इज वेरी रेयर, कॉजलेस मर्सी है, ये सब क्यों बोलते हैं? इसलिए बोलते हैं क्योंकि तर्क वितर्क से तो कभी आप इस कंक्लूजन पर नहीं आ पाए। बट हाँ, स्पेसिफिकली आप एक किसी आदमी को लाके सामने खड़ा कर दीजिए तो जरूर हमें से कोई ना कोई आराम से उसके इंटेलेक्चुअलिज्म के थ्रेशोल्ड को रीच कर जाएगा और उसको घुटने टेकने में मजबूर कर देगा। यू टू एक्सेप्ट द एग्जिस्टिंग लॉ। स्पेसिफिकली हम इंडिविजुअल्स को पकड़ पकड़ कर सकते हैं, बट आप कोई एक ऐसा यूनिवर्सल लॉ लिख के नहीं जा सकते जिससे पूरी दुनिया ईस्ट बन जाएगी, क्योंकि ये दुनिया बनाई गई है भगवान को भूलने के लिए ना। तो बुद्धि, आसपास की परिस्थितियां, ये सब कुछ वैसी ही रहेगी जिसमें आप भगवान को बहुत आसानी से भूल पाए। इसलिए भगवान को रियलाइज करना बहुत डिफिकल्ट है। ये केवल ये मानना, केवल ये कोई ऐसा मान ले कि हाँ भी भगवान एग्जिस्ट करते हैं, कोई तो सुप्रीम एज एग्जिस्ट करता है, इसके लिए बहुत पुण्य चाहिए। इसलिए तो ये सब चीजें हम बोलते हैं ना, ओनली वन हु हैज कॉजलेस मर्सी विल हैव फेथ ऑन दिस, ओनली वन हु इज पुण्यवान विल हैव फेथ ऑन दिस। ये सब क्यों बोलते हैं? इसलिए तो क्योंकि बहुत डिफिकल्ट है केवल लॉजिक के थ्रू रेस्पेक्ट। बट स्टिल डिवाइस एक ऐसा चीज है जिसमें हो जाएगा 70-80% काम आपका ऐसे हो जाएगा। कुछ लोग हमेशा ऐसे रहेंगे, कुछ लोग रहेंगे हु मे नीड लिटिल मोर और तो उसके तो वो भी आपको देना आना चाहिए। तो हमारा कोशिश यही रहता है कि हम जितने लोगों को समझा पाए और मतलब वट एवर इट टेक्स फॉर मी टू प्रैक्टिस भक्ति वो लॉजिक में अपने आप से सोच लूंगा कुछ भी करके, है ना? बस वैसा ही है। So yeah, it is difficult to understand the law. But if someone has causeless mercy of devotee, he can understand. Okay. Hari Bol.